Hey guys, Pretzel here. Welcome back to another video. In this video, I will be going over my top 10 action figures of 2019. Throughout the year, I bought 12 figures in total. I'm pretty sure that's 12. And of course, 2 of them did not make it onto the list, and that is the Jakks Pacific's King Ghidorah and the Marvel Legends Iron Man Mark 7. But the ones that did make it onto my list are, on my list, I guess you could say. Starting off with number 10, and I'm not going to be including accessories, but I will mention them, I guess, in some scenarios. But number 10, we have the NECA Godzilla 1954 reissue version that comes with the atomic breath. This is at number 10 because mainly of the tail issue that I have with the other older NECA Godzilla figures. I do not like the tail idea with the bendy wire and whatnot at all. I really don't. What kills this figure for me. And there's also a paint problem I have, and that is the eyes are constantly looking down. The articulation is decent for what it is, though on the legs it is a bit still stiff. After even heating it up and putting it in hot water, it is a bit still stiff, and there's not too much articulation in the legs. The arms and the head and whatnot is decent, but it's not my ideal figure that I would go to if I wanted to make a stop motion, especially with a NECA figure. But nonetheless, it is a good figure, and if you're thinking about picking them up, I would definitely go for them. Though I do not like the tail. It might not bother anyone else, but it bothers me, so that's why it's at number 10. Coming in at number 9 is the NECA Mothra 2019 figure. The reason why this figure is at number 9 is because, you know, it's such a small figure. I have really no use for it, if I'm honest. I mainly bought it because I just had the money. It was there, and I didn't necessarily have a Mothra figure, so I thought it would be nice to have a NECA Mothra to add to the collection. Though I will be using it for a stop motion, I'm not going to be constantly using it for stop motions because it's not going to be easy, especially for someone like me. If I had the right equipment to make a stop motion with a Mothra figure, then I might be able to, though it's a lot more difficult to make a stop motion with a Mothra than it is any other figure. It's, you know, kind of like similar to a say a Predator figure, because I have issues making stop motions with Predator figures. You know, you need the right equipment for it. The figure does have pretty good articulation, though. I wish the tinier parts of the wings would go all the way up as the bigger wings do, but the reason why it doesn't do that is right here. The bigger wing joint blocks it from going anywhere higher from right there, which is a bit disappointing, though, you know, it's fine, whatever. But it does kind of support the wings from falling down completely. So, like, it kind of, but not necessarily, because some, you know, as you can see when I try pushing up, it just does that. But it does come with a nice stand, which I'm not going to go get, but, you know, if you've seen this figure, or if you have it, then you know what the base the stand looks like, and it does hold the figure pretty well, so that is a really good thing to have. Though I wish it did come with the larva effect, even though I thought it did, and I made a fool out of myself saying that, oh, it's in the box, you guys are wrong, blah blah. But, you know, all that's in the past now. So that's for number 9. Coming in at number 8 is the NECA Ultimate City Hunter Predator. I do think this figure looks really, really amazing. Definitely captures the look of the City Hunter Predator, and does come with a lot of good accessories. Though the articulation is limited in some places, as most Predator figures are, which is, no surprise. The main thing that kind of downgraded it for me is the blades, which I knew this was going to be an issue. I just almost gave myself a heart attack. The blades, they used the flimsy, more fragile blades for this figure, which I knew they would. But my ideal blades are the ones that can actually stick into the wrist blades, or the wrist gauntlet, or plug into the wrist gauntlet, depending on what figure it is. Or like the more thicker versions that move up and down, similar to this. But the this one's, it's very flimsy, and you can already tell that it's bent. And I tried to fix it, but I ended up actually bending the blade a bit, so I don't want to do anything with that anymore. I will use it for stop motions in the near future, or far future, definitely one of the two. Once I get better at making stop motions with these kind of figures. Because, making them like in a running pose, or in like a punching pose or a stabbing pose, it's not entirely easy to do, especially if I have to have them stand on one leg, because I either have to hold the figure and take a picture, which causes the figure to kind of wiggle around a little bit, which kind of makes it look a bit odd in the stop motion, or I do the same thing, and I kind of, instead of going, like kind of like take a picture, move a little bit, take a picture, move a little bit. It's kind of like take a picture, move a lot, take a picture, move a lot. It just makes it look a lot more worse than it should be, or how I would like it to be. So if I had a figure stand, or like so I can a support stand or whatever, it'd be a lot more easier. I did have one, but it broke, so nothing I can do about that anytime soon. Hopefully I'll be able to get one in the future, but I just basically spent all the rest of my money because I had just bought the SH Monster Burning Godzilla 2019. But anyways, coming in at number 7 is the NECA Godzilla 2019 version 2. The reason why this is lower than it could be, I guess you'd say, is one, because it's a repaint. I have the original, so it's nothing really too special besides it looking different. Which I'm 75-25, I guess you could say, for the repaint job that they did. The thing that I don't like about the paint job, which I'm pretty sure I mentioned in the review for the figure, is the vein looks that the figure has throughout the whole entire body, on both sides. Not the whole entire body, but like, right here. I really don't like that at all. It just looks terrible. I really don't like it. And then I'm not too big of a fan on the purple that is like around the eye. Though that's not too much a big deal, I just don't really like it. And of course it has its weird, what's it called, parrotfish face. Though on the dorsal fins, I will argue that the dorsal fins are perfect. I really, really like the paint job that they did with the dorsal fins. Here, let me block out the light so you can get a better look at it. I really like the metallic blue that NECA went with their dorsal fin paint job. I do think it really looks really good. That's my favorite part of the figure. If it didn't have this paint job and it kind of had like a blandish kind of light blue, or a blandish, just a regular blue color, then it would have most likely been lower than it is. And it might have not even been on the list because I might have actually repainted it, because the dorsal fins is the reason why I didn't repaint this figure, because I like the dorsal fin paint job so much. But it's at number 7, and that's where it's gonna stay. Coming in at number 6 is the NECA Godzilla 1962 figure. This is easily one of NECA's best figures that they've ever made, for Godzilla anyways. But the reason why it's at number 6 is because of this. Yep, the arm joint does not want the arm to stay on the figure. It's very disappointing. It just easily pops off. I did find a way to fix it, and I did that, and it did fix it for a while, and then I tried messing around with the figure again, and the arm just popped off, which I really don't like broken parts on figures. I could have took it back. It's probably what I should have done, similar to another figure that I'm going to be talking about later on in the video that is more higher up, but I didn't, and there's nothing I can do about it at the moment. It's still a good figure. I can still use it for stop motions, though I will just have to be more gentle with the right arm than I will with the left one. And the other issue I have with the figure is that the mouth doesn't open like at all. It kind of opens just a little bit, but I have to like force it to do anything. And it's really only there to like just put the atomic breath in. But so that's a bit disappointing. And the legs have rarely any articulation, like at all. There's a little bit of movement and kind of a bit of like a swivel at the knee, but not much articulation. And I don't know if that's accurate to the actual film, if he did have thick thighs like Shin Godzilla, but you know, I still think it's a pretty good figure, though I would have not have made him as glossy as he is, to be honest, because he is a bit glossy. Though the tail, I would say, is the best NECA Godzilla tail out of all the NECA Godzilla figures they've made, or at least on mine anyways, because it's just smooth as butter. I have no issues with that at all. It is a bit loose, you know, if I try to have it straight, it kind of falls, but it does stay in its poses. It gets a lot of good poses, and it's really well done. I think NECA did a real good job, or amazing job, or whatever kind of job, for the tail. And that's number 6. Coming in at number 7 is number 5 is the NECA Godzilla 1964 figure. And the reason why this is at number 4 is because of the mainly the arm problem that the 62 have. If the 62 didn't have that arm problem, that figure probably would be at number 4, maybe even number 3. Maybe. That's just a maybe. But if it didn't have the arm problem, it definitely would have been at number 4. But this is number 4, and that's number 5. The NECA Godzilla 1964, I have no issues with whatsoever. Though I still have issues with the legs, even though I just said I didn't have any issues with the figure, and then I just named off an issue. But anyways, I do have stiff legs still, though I will fix that eventually when I am, not distracted by playing video games or doing schoolwork. Though I'm still on break, so if I'm able to remind myself in the future, like tomorrow or something, then maybe I'll get the blow dryer and blow dry all my stiff figures and try to work out the joints. But this is probably my stiffest figure in my collection, though, which kind of downgrades it just a little bit, not too much, because it is easily fixable with a little bit of heat. The tail is well done, though I don't think it's as good as the 62s. Though the other articulation in the leg, which the leg actually does have articulation, unlike the 62, which once I'm able to fix that, it'll be pretty nice. And then the arm articulation, I think, is one of the best in the Godzilla line for NECA. I think the arm articulation is really good. And I like arm articulation, so I can actually, you know, if I do a stop motion with this guy, I can actually be like, I'm gonna fight you, you know, whatnot. Instead of having like, oh, I can't reach you, I'm like basically Shin Godzilla, I can't reach you. You know, have that kind of situation going on. The mouth doesn't open too much, which, you know, it's just the figure. It's not really any issues, but, you know, that's just that. And, of course, it has the same exact atomic breath as the atomic breath GMK, which is kind of, you know, disappointing. But whatever NECA wants to do, they can do it. You know, at least we actually got an atomic breath, so can't complain too much. But the NECA, or the number 3, or no, is it 3? I think I messed up. Did I mess up? Yeah, I messed up. So there's number 10, number 9, number 8, number 7, number 6, number 5. So yeah, the 64 was number 5, and I don't know. I'm confusing myself. So this is actually the actual number 4 is the NECA Godzilla Night 2019 figure, which is my personal best favorite. That didn't make any sense. My personal favorite figure out of all of my NECA figures that I have, or at least in the Godzilla line. But I really like this figure. I liked the way it's painted. I like the way it looks. I don't have any issues with it. The tail is, you know, not too well articulated as the 64 or the 62, though it is better than the older versions, and definitely better than the 1954 figure. But I do think the articulation is very well. It's not stiff at all. I don't have any issues with it. So that's why this figure's a lot more higher than the other ones, because the articulation's smooth. I don't have any issues with it. I don't have issues with the face. I think the face on mine is fine. You know, minus the eyes when you look at from this way. Because then you're just basically looking at Shin Godzilla with the and you know, using the 2019 face, because you got some Shin Godzilla eyes. No offense against Shin Godzilla, you know, besides the NECA Shin Godzilla, because that one's not that good. But coming in at number 3 is the NECA Assassin Predator figure. And this figure is so big it doesn't even fit on the screen. I recently just got this figure. This is my most recent figure and my tallest figure in my collection. I was going to do a review on the figure, but I just decided not to. The figure, I think, is done very well done. I think NECA did a top-notch job for the Assassin Predator. They really got the look of how he looked in the film. I think his gray skin should have been a bit darker, or at least the red a bit lighter. I think that would have made it I think the red should have been a bit brighter, you know, make it pop out some more. But I think it's still well done. The articulation, or the, I guess you could say, go with the articulation first. The articulation is pretty good. Only really issues I have is that these pads right here go on when in the box. It is like under the shoulder, whatever this is called right here. This was under it, so you have to like lift it up. This one is kind of under it still, so I'm gonna have to fix that. But is just kind of weird. The one that's kind of under goes up all the way, but the one that isn't doesn't move at all. It's very stiff. I'm going to have to loosen that. Though I haven't really dried or put any heat onto this guy yet, so I guess I have a weekend project. It's called Heat Up My Figures. And the knees are a bit stiff, but the articulation is really nice. Not perfect, but definitely one of the best in the Predator figure lines, due to it not having a crap ton of armor on it, because his skin is his armor. And then the feet is an issue too, which I already knew it would have been. Though I can get him to stand. You can, though I'm not going to waste time trying to get him to stand. You can get him to stand, which is really nice. But the making stop motions with this figure is going to be basically impossible for me at the moment. But yeah, I think it's real nice, and the accessories are real nice too. Though I'm not going to go too much detail anymore on the figure, because I don't want to waste too much time, and I don't want my video to cut off, like I hope it doesn't in a few seconds or so, because it did that the first time I was trying to make this video, and when I was talking about this guy is when the video cut off. So I'm going to try and get to the rest of this as quickly as I can, so the video doesn't cut off, you know, when I'm in the middle of talking. I really don't want that to happen. Coming in at number 2 is the NECA Rodin 2019. I just absolutely love this figure. I really, really, really like this figure. Though articulation-wise, it isn't the best, of course, because it's Rodin. It doesn't have the top-notch articulation. And it does feel a bit kind of fragile. Though I think it looks very good. I really like how they made this figure. I can't say that it's more accurate to the film than it is than the SH Monster Arts, but my favorite part about the whole entire figure is that it actually has the flames at the end of the wings, which is something the SH Monster Arts didn't do, which gives NECA more of a plus, because it is more movie accurate. Because if you watch the film, Rodin has the flames all the time. And the articulation is nice. It's not terrible. It is nice. You can get him to look like he's flying, and if you want, you can switch the necks around to make him look down even more than if you wanted to do that. But, you know, I like it having like this so I can make him look like he's flying, baby. The legs, though, aren't really well articulated. Though, you know, you can't really do much with small joints, I guess you could say. And I guess when you look at the articulation for the Mothra, they could have done a open and closed mouth for Rodin, but the 2 heads for the Rodin doesn't really bother me too much. Though I wish it did stay in the stand, like similar to the Mothra, because it doesn't stay in like at all. It just kind of bounces there, which is a bit disappointing, but I really, really enjoy this figure. And of course, it already has been in 1 stop motion, and it will continue to be in stop motions. Though similar to Mothra, it'll be a lot more difficult to do stop motion with Rodin than it will be with any of the Godzilla figures that they use. But hopefully I'll get better at doing stop motions with these kind of figures, and I'll be able to make more stop motions with Rodin. So coming in at number 1 is the SH Monster Arts Godzilla 2019 figure. This is my all-time 2019 favorite figure. I think this figure is very, very well done. The details on the figure are just perfect, in my opinion. I really do think it captures the look of the 2019 design. Though I did have issues with mine. If you've seen my review and whatnot, I did have a lot of issues with my 2019 Godzilla figure, and I should have took it back and got a new one, but I didn't. So this is what I have to live with at the minute. It's not bad. The articulation is really nice. Like this section, it's mainly the tail that kind of gets me a bit disappointed about the figure. The tail is still stiff, and with these cold winter times, it kind of froze the figure a little bit. So I'm going to have to heat up this figure as well as the other ones. Excuse me. And of course, the main issue that pops off is this part right here, which isn't too terrible because that's not the kind of joint I'm going to be mainly focusing on when I'm making the stop motion with this figure. But he will be in one of my more what's it called, latest stop motions, I guess you can say. And it's definitely not going to be in my latest stop motion, which hopefully will be coming out tomorrow. But it is, I think, a really good figure, and it does come with a pretty cool atomic breath effect, though it is the same design as the 2014 atomic breath, though I do like the kind of jaw thing that comes with it, so you can make them fire up in the sky. I do think that is pretty cool. And I wish mine wasn't a bit deformed at the leg, though I did kind of fix that a little bit. I still think this figure deserves my #1 spot because I just think it's so good, and it's even with its issues, I think I just like it better than all the other figures. And that's just my opinion. And like I said, I did order the SH Monster Arts SH Monster Arts Burning Godzilla 2019 figure, which, since it's translucent, and apparently translucent figures have easy articulation, hopefully that one won't be all stiff and whatnot, and hopefully it'll be a bit better than that one, and maybe that might be my #1 figure of 2020. It's possible, but we'll see if I get any other SH Monster Arts figures, or see what happens. But that might be my #1 2020 figure. I'm just saying it right now, because as soon as I got this figure, I was like, this is my favorite figure of 2019. Most SH Monster Arts figures are in my at least top 3 of 2019, or my top 10s for the years. But this is my favorite figure of 2019, and that concludes the top 10 list for this video, and I really hope you enjoyed, and if you would like, you can tell me your top 10 or even top 5 or whatever top in the description or comments down below. If you would like to, that's your choice. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you have a happy New Year's. Though this is not going to be my only video that I'm going to be making today. But I'll see you next time. Bye. We're actually doing this.